Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you Grotmas Day 10, and today we are talking about Grey Knights. Or rather, I guess everybody was talking about yesterday, because this is going up a day after, to give some time for it to settle. But I will admit, this probably will be the quickest Grotmas one, or one of the quickest, because Grey Knights are an army that I think out of all of them, I know probably the least about. I don't have friends that play them, last I checked, unless somebody's secretly amassing a Grey Knight's army. And I just don't really see much on them besides they got number short Knights that keep beating ass. But also, Warpbane Task Force, if you haven't seen already, is actually just solid as fuck. Like, it's really good. So let's talk about it. Warpbane Task Force. Your deployment zone is always within your army's hallowed ground. The area of the battlefield within 6 inches of one or more Purifier Squad units from your army is within your army's hallowed ground. If you control half of no man's land, hallowed ground. If you control your opponent's half of their objectives in their deployment zone, hallowed ground. Hallowed ground everywhere, okay? Each time a model in a Grey Knights unit from your army makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 if that unit is a Purifier Squad and or is wholly within your army's hallowed ground. You can reroll the hit roll instead. It's a lot of hollowed ground in that time, but that is better than I'd say it's better than Canoptic Court. It is on par with Demons. It is definitely better than Hexwarp Thrall Band. I feel like I'm forgetting one that also has this mechanic. Maybe not. Anywho, it's good because it has another. It just automatically did the demon thing of giving you something else that even if you don't control the objectives, you have a way of getting this out. You have Nurgle Contagion on Purifier Squads on top of Shadow Chaos Zone Demon Realm on top of that. Like, it's a really good combination. Like, I know I didn't have to say Contagion because demons get it too for their greater demons, but you get the point. Uh, Now, moving past that, is this the benefit that Grey Knights need? Good question. From what I understand and looking back at like some of the meta units and things like that, yes. I've been trying to talk about some of the Grotmist detachments in which you need to consider, is it good for the army? And before anybody gets upset, I'm not saying that all of them have been. I'm just saying that that's the main divider on that one. Um, so from what I understand, Grey Knight players, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Always open to that, as long as you do it respectfully. uh, just let me know if this is what you want. I know, or what you need. Let's think about what you need first, because I've seen a lot of comments that it isn't what you want. And two things on that. One, that means that, hey, it's not in your codex. You don't have to pay $60 for it. Two, if you find out that you really love this after, you didn't have to pay $60 for it. So that's good. With Warpbane Task Force, how do I feel going against it? That's the other thing that maybe I like to input for some of my opinions on these detachments and armies that I don't play. How do I feel going into this? I think I feel okay. It's not objective control isn't a thing that my army, my main army and secondary army necessarily I am, with the way my lists go, concerned too much about. The reroll hits is going to be a bit annoying, but at the same time, a lot of things in the game have reroll hits one way or another. So it isn't something that's like completely off guard. It just makes the things that are within a bit better. So to that extent, I'm not concerned. Detachment rule alone. Now we will get into some other things that I might be in danger. So let's go to enhancements first. Mandalorian Reliquary. Mandulian? Mandulian Reliquary. 20 points. Grey Knights model only. While the bearer's unit is not battle shocked, add 3 to the bearer's objective control characteristic. Fine. 20 points fine. Don't really know if that's needed. For like reference, Ominous Presence is 15 points for Crusher Stampede. So that's where I'm weighting that against, into which I don't know if you need 20 points, especially for a Grey Knights model, but hey. Radiant Champion, 15 points. Grey Knight's infantry model only. The bearer's melee weapons have the precision ability, and while the bearer is wholly within your army's hollowed ground, each time a melee attack made by the bearer scores a wound, the attack of the target suffers one mortal wound. The target of that attack, suffers one mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. That's good. And that's the 15 one? That's the 15 pointer, but it's 20 points to get 3 more OC. I I don't know how you equate that. I mean, okay, I guess I do because it has to be on infantry only. However, however, that's good. So, that's one that I'm a little bit concerned about. Precision isn't a thing that many people are keeping in mind, and with the recent state of the meta and the game, it doesn't look like precision is too needed per se. We don't have a lot of threatening units that are threatening because of the leader. However, I would also say with the amount of Terminators that and Terminator-esque things, the Terminator-esque things are stratagems that typically don't require a character, but for the Terminator transhuman rules that we're seeing across factions become popular, it might be nice to have this to precision out a character in that regard. But we also have to see how the meta develops a little bit more because we're talking about right now Custodes, so good fucking luck, and also a lot of heavy vehicles and tanks and big things. Like I've been holding off making a Crusher Stampede video, but people are kind of seeing one of my main points that I've held for a while is that you don't need all the point scoring units in the world. Not all of your units will activate at the same time. So sometimes you just throw something over there and then it helps you prep for other things. And to which that's where I don't know if Radiant Champion is going to be an auto slam, but I think it's nice enough. Like the secondary effect on its own is good enough that I think I'll take it for 15 points, but I don't know if it's auto slam territory. File of the Abyss, 25 points. Grey Knight's infantry model only. Models in the Bears unit have the stealth ability. Stealth is good for 25 points. Um, Considering your Grey Knights, yeah, that's actually pretty damn good for 25. I think that might be the auto take. You might start your list at 1975. In my opinion. Please let me know. Paragon of Sanctity, 10 points. Grey Knights model only. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, the bearer can select one friendly Grey Knights unit within 18 inches of and visible to it. If it does, until the end of the phase, that unit is within your army's hollowed ground. This more of that. More of that. I want more of that in these detachment rules. If we're going to keep doing the power matrix thing, shadows, chaos shadows. I need to learn the name of it actually one day. Um, Flow of magic. We need more of that. There needs to be more things that, for like 10 points, just chuck it over there. Because a lot of things, you really, not a lot of things in the game, you just have the the safety to activate more than one or two turns, right? So if you have something like this for once per battle, 10 points, I just gain the benefit of my hollowed ground. That's pretty pretty darn good for 10 points. I take that back. That's probably the auto slam. Then maybe this. Then maybe this. That is 50 points down, but they're all like really good. I'm not too sold on the objective control one, and that's not to say that OC isn't good. I think it's just the fact that this is 20 when I could have this for 10 or this for 15, that this one falls out of favor for me. I think it's just pointed odd. That's just me because it's not the bearer's unit, it's add 3 to the bearer's objective control characteristic. So the one model gets plus 3. So I don't know. I could see if it was above and beyond, but hey. Let's go over to the stratagem, Sanctified Kill Zone, your shooting phase or the fight phase. One Grey Knight unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and that is wholly within your army's hallowed ground. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1, or reroll the wound roll instead if your unit is a Purifier squad. This one is a little bit more, hoop jumpy than we see for stratagems along the lines, into which that is good and bad. And I say bad like lowercase as fuck, okay? It's good in the sense of balance because they've already taken into account that they're letting you run around with purifier squads to give you more hollowed ground. It's bad in the sense that everybody else kind of has it. So for 1 CP, is it the utmost game-breaking thing to have reroll hits and wounds of 1? I don't know. And I say I guess I should elaborate. It's the fact that it says wholly within. That isn't just within, so you can't ooh, what's the term? What's the term? You can't chain. Why did chain escape me? You can't chain models back into your hallowed ground zone and then gain the benefit for everybody because it says wholly within. So that's where it's like, huh, it is what it is. And then your purifier squad, do you want to spend 1 CP on it? Depending on the target, yeah. But also, reroll hits is kind of fine enough. You'll find that this. I think my thing with it is that the targets that you really need both reroll hit and wound, you might not be in the greatest positions to actually use this all the way. So that's where it's they really are asking you to make hollowed ground. It's not the hardest thing to achieve, again, with the Purifier Squad, but that's the counterbalance there. Fires a Covenant, start of your opponent's movement phase. 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal advance or fallback move within 6 inches of your unit, roll 1d6, adding 2 to the result if your unit is wholly within your army's hollow ground on a 4-up. That enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So, I think this is the one that I've been hearing a lot of commotion about, into which it is. I don't see why I'm hearing commotion about it. In the negative sense, like this is great for 1 CP. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 6 inches of your unit, roll 1d6, adding 2 to the result if your unit is wholly within your army's hollowed ground on a 4-up. That enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. I know I just read it, but damn. If it's a Purifier squad, right? That's already dropped down. If they come within 6 inches of you, which is your hollowed ground because it's a Purifier squad, you are doing D3 mortals on 2-ups to any of the units that come by. They're just having to take a chance to see if they're taking mortals for 1 CP. That's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good. Like, this is another one of the stratagems in which you have to know, are you going to capitalize, basically. If you use this while there's only 1 unit around, yeah, it's going to feel like shit. and you're gonna be like, man, I used 1 CP and I got maybe 1 wound out of it. However, if this is one of your prime spots for a Grey Knight's infantry unit, and like 2 or 3 things go by, going to, let's take it on the average of 2 each. If you get 6 wounds out for 1 CP, fuck. Fuck. That's good. Fires of Covenant. I love it. Flames of Sanctity. End of the fight phase. 1 Purifier squad from your army that was eligible to fight this phase. Roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of your unit, adding 1 to the result if your unit includes Castellan Crow. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. I like the direction of this detachment. It is giving you a benefit for having your shit, and it is telling you can still play the game if you don't. This is nice. That's 2 ways to mortal wound, and then you have the enhancement. I'm fucking loving it. Am I going to start playing Grey Knights? Probably not. Not my aesthetic, but I understand how hard it would probably be to give up shit like let's just see. What's that one called? Ooh, Mist of Deimos, True Silver Armor. Yeah, I can understand why you're not keen to give those up. When you are looking at a detachment that is saying, hey, rerolls and wounds. But rerolls and wounds are pretty good for most armies, and I think you can make it happen here. Aegis Eternal. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks until the end of the phase. Models in your unit that are wholly within your hallowed ground have a 4-up invulnerable save. This is just nice to have in the pocket. Grey Knight's infantry. This is another one where you just go, hey, I don't have True Silver. However, I think I can pass some 4-ups on this one. And that's the other one where you have to account for like True Silver, where it's, would that have put you on a 4-up anyway? Do you miss it that much? No. Now, let's go back to True Silver for 1 second here. It does apply to anything, compared to this applying only to infantry. That is a big trade-off, but that's where it goes to maybe you just tailor your list more towards infantry. That's, I understand if it's not too great to have your Dread Knight not situation, not take less damage. But this is a list tailoring situation into which if you just do your list the way that this is telling you to kind of play, I think it's fine. Hallowed Beacon. Reinforcement step of your movement phase. 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit, excluding Terminator units, that is arriving using the Deep Strike or Teleport Assault abilities this phase. Set up your unit wholly within your army's hallowed ground and more than 6 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. 2 things. 1, I'm scared because that means that, or that tells me that we probably are going away from 3-inch Deep Strike. I am an enjoyer of 3-inch Deep Strike, if I'm being honest. I love my Trigon. But, I can bear with it. Trigon at 6 inches, I think I can live. But beyond that, this is nice to have, excluding Terminator units, so it's not cranked to all hell. But if I'm being honest, I don't know if that would crank it to all hell either. So, it's nice. It's nice to have. Everything could use a better Deep Strike than what they have, right? So, it is what it is. Repelling Sphere. Start of your opponent's charge phase. 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time an enemy unit declares a charge and your unit is one of the targets of that charge. Sorry, I was trying to read ahead to figure out if I was misreading something. Subtract 1 from the charge roll, or subtract 2 instead if your unit is wholly within your army's hallowed ground. So, this is another situation into which I am wondering where GW is taking the direction of the game. Where between this and Imperial Agents, and is there another one? And wait, was there one in one of the nights? I'm forgetting already. But we're seeing, hey, don't make your charge. And that can be a symptom of two things. Well, actually, several things. It could be a symptom of the fact that they are going to do another pass on terrain layouts, and they are going to be like, yeah, those melee armies had it good for a little bit. That was fun to watch. Let's do it again. We're going back to too many shooting armies. Um, and then this is going to be your, hey, here's your survivability front. This also tells me they're really trying to fuck over melee armies. On the flip side, into which I don't think I'm a fan of how powerful this can get. I think that's where I firmly lie. Subtract 2 from a charge is massive against certain armies and certain units, right? Let's even take something like fuck it, I'll do it. I just made a video talking about I about my feelings in the breakdown of how melee warriors stack compared to other melee units of equivalency. As a Tyrannage player, I am now scared further if I would be going into Grey Knights with this. Because my melee warriors have a 6-inch move and they are melee only. So if they need to make their charge, and I've invested something like 215 points in this unit, and you tell me subtract 2 from the charge, fuck. Fuck. And they only have advancing charge in Vanguard Onslaught and an enhancement on Warrior Bioform Onslaught. So now shit like that makes me concerned for that unit. However, there are also I like Necrons. So this is a kind of a non-factor because enough of the detachments and vehicles give me, vehicles, they are still vehicles even though they're not a transport, vehicles give me a way to position myself that 2 from the charge isn't going to be the end all be all. And then we jump to something like orcs, where again they rely heavily on the charge. However, in the WA turn, they should be taking this into account. For their advance in charge will be helpful, but this might actually just cripple the game plan for an orcs player, right? Unless they bring something like Squighog Boys, which are impervious to that. So the fact that we're seeing this stratagem pop up more, this is another one of those, hey, I know this isn't your Mist of Deimos teleport strike force. Hey, look at that. Look at me. Teleport strike force shenanigans. I know it's not that. However, this is definitely a meta call that will prepare you for whatever the fuck the meta shifts after, with be it balanced data slate shit, be it people finding out new things about other armies. All of this is telling me you better be ready to get down and clown, because at the end of the day they still have their army rule to teleport their damn selves. And if they make a lot of hollow ground, so they're getting rerolls, you have something to combat like chaff in the fucking way, so you can deal your damage more efficiently, right? Like, put it this way. You teleport down, somebody thought they screened out something nicely. Yeah, this is start of your opponent's movement phase, and this is end of the fight phase. So you don't necessarily have the proactivity of it, but if you are, let's say chess 2 steps ahead, right? You are in a meta into which you know that they are going to be moving their shit. For example, if you're against me and I throw a bunch of Hormagaunts your way, You are then going to pop Fires of Covenant, and then it leaves me with two options. Yeah, my advanced and charging unit that I was really putting into a place to kind of screen out before your other Grey Knight shits come out. Now I just can't capitalize on them already, right? Because if I move, I'm taking wounds, and that's an opening. Yeah, I can take the models away on which wounds I wanted to, but then on the following turn, I don't have to dedicate nearly as much to try to get that unit out the way. Shit like that is where that's going to be an issue. Now, if we run into a continuation of a heavy models format where it's more knights, more tanks, more. Who else just got something nice? Uh, well, more vehicles out of Star Shatter and Lion's Blade Task Force. Then this might not be as massive, but even then, it'll probably still help you remove the chaff so you can deliver your damage effectively. I say all this that this is solid as fuck. It's solid as fuck. It isn't the index. The index is pretty good. But from what I also understand of Grey Knight players, you were getting fucking bored. I see a lot of that comment when I do see Grey Knight conversations, I guess, pop up across my eyeballs, and to which it is, yeah, it's solid, it's nice to have, but fuck, I've been doing this for a while and it's starting to get tiresome. So this is a nice new way to play. I understand that it's probably annoying as fuck that it's a copy and paste kind of situation, but out of the copy and paste, is definitely better than Hexwarp Thrallband. Ooh, is it better than Demons? Is it better than Demons? I I think it's on the same way. I think Greater Demons just give you so much with the fact that you can then just take in other of the same fucking demon faction and there that gives you a lot. So I think it's on the same realm because it gives you something like different, right? Like I don't give a fuck about Deep Strike number 17,008 out of the demons. Okay, I do, but not to the same extent as I go, oh fuck, I'm taking more mortal wounds and you're re-rolling versus me? Fuck. And Canoptic Court, I think because of the things that are reliant on Canoptic Court to function, I think I put this over Canoptic Court as well. So, Warpbane Task Force, pretty good. And I just had this up just so we could reference. Yeah, Army Rule, you still got it. And you don't have Mist of Damas and True Silver anymore. But I think you'll find that these can be decent trades. And looking at this, I think that the rumors are true that we're just going to be moving to 6 inches, 6 inch deep strike instead of 3. So there's that. Then, of course, let's talk about the units that go within it. Purifier Squad, 125 points for 5 models, can be led by Castlin Crow. T4, 2 up save, 2 wounds. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if the unit is below its starting strength, and add 1 to the wound roll if it is below half strength. It says to bring them. I have nothing bad to say about Purifier Squad. Like, there's grenades. In this, there's more grenades. There's decent guns. You got rerolls. You got everything. I like it. Open up Castlin Crow real quick. You're bringing him probably, right? While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's Purifying Flame once per turn. The first time a saving throw is failed for this model, change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. Castlin Crow, still good. Still good. Still good. This is one that I'm like, do you bring it? Because this is step 1 of several, actually. First, you have to get your shit out there. And that's one thing that I really try to drive home. You have to try to get your shit out there. So, instead of a Rhino, let's look at the Razorback because in your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select one enemy unit and score 1 or more hits against this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly model that disembarked from this transport this turn makes an attack that targets the enemy unit, you can reroll the wound roll. So, if you're getting rerolls to hit and you're getting rerolls to wound, you are getting good damage out. presumably. The Grey Knight's Razorback, it's a better Rhino. It's kind of limited on what can be taken, but aren't all the transports in here? It can pop smoke. It is only 85 points. It is 85 points to deliver your system. Whether that system be a Purifier Squad, and then after you have the term turning over so that you have control, I shouldn't probably go on too much about this, but this fits the entire plan. So it'll be pretty odd for me if I see lists develop that aren't including more Razorbacks, because it has guns too. Like it isn't bad. I know we haven't seen too many Razorbacks lately. At last time I checked in on the Grey Knights meta, but I think this could be nice. Then I thought this one and the next one, I gotta admit, are just hee hee ha ha funnies because of what you're doing. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets a unit that cannot fly, add 1 to the hit roll. So that means that for most of your shit, you're hitting on 2s. For the Grey Knight Storm Talon gunship, 170 points that can hover. It can hover in your deployment zone, which is always within your hollowed ground, right? Hollow ground. Nailed it. Your hollowed ground. So if you're hitting on 2s, re-rolling hits of 1, think you'll be doing pretty fine. And this is a nice ass range to get that out. So 48 inches, 170 points, fire down hell. Go for it. Then to the other side, each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets a unit that can fly, add 1 to the hit roll. 160 points, 10 points less, about the same ranges. And this has 1 more toughness, the Stormhawk Interceptor. This is probably a hard meta call. Like, do you need the last talent? I don't know. I am a fan of bringing things for a just in case. We've seen Anti-Fly do annoying things this past WCW, funnily enough. Or funny enough. So, I don't I don't hate it. I don't think that many lists will include it, but if you include it, let me know the results. And we go on to actual things. The Brother Captain, while this model is leading the unit, psychic weapons equipped by models in that unit have the sustained hits 1. Each time this model makes an attack with a psychic weapon, you can reroll the wound roll. You are getting reroll hits. You're taking Brother Captain. Brother Captain Stern. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack on a critical wound, that target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. The first time this model is destroyed, 1d6. On a 2-up, you get back up, outside of engagement range with full wounds remaining. Brother Captain Stern, I don't think he's a slam, like an auto slam, but fuck it. Why not? Then Brotherhood Chaplain. While this model is leading the unit, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit takes a battle shock or leadership test, subtract 1 from the test. This is also interesting because of where the game seems to be going as well. We've seen a lot of things requiring battle shock tests lately, and I'm not saying that this is going to help you in the ongoing plot, but first off, you are taking for the +1 to wound, right? Already doing that. With the rerolls, of course. But also, it's the fact that maybe we are going to be seeing a overall game plan develop into which Battle Shock becomes prevalent again, or at all, I shouldn't say again, becomes prevalent. So, this is a maybe consider more chaplains, not only for just a +1 to wound, because I know you go, well, it's a Terminator. It's kind of, if I test at the Terminator squad, that's a lot of points. Maybe it's we'll see what the balanced data slate does, into which it might be priming up for more of that, given the trend of stratagems lately. Then Brotherhood Librarian. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a 4-up feel no pain against psychic attacks. In your shooting phase, you can select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to this psyker, excluding lone op, if they aren't attached to something. If you do, roll 1d6 on a 1, you take mortal wounds. On a 2 up, or 2 through 5, 2d3 mortal wounds for the enemy. On a 6, that enemy suffers 2d6 mortal wounds. 120 points. I'm already dishing out a lot of mortal wounds. I am taking this. Now, caveat once more, I'm not a Grey Knights player. So if you're telling me it is just not worth it for 120 points, I can understand that. However, I ask, is it now worth it given how many mortal wounds you can dish out? So put that into context. I think you just let mortal wounds fucking fry the enemy, and then when you actually need to deliver damage, you just get in there and bonk some heads. Castlin Crow. Oh, sorry. I thought I'd knock this one out. Whoopsie. Grandmaster Valdis. While this model is leading the unit, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Each time this model's unit is selected to fight, you can select one enemy unit within engagement range of this model's unit and roll 1d6, adding to the result if the unit has the demon keyword. On a 4 through 5, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 6 up, that enemy unit suffers d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. I think you take Grandmaster Valdis in this detachment. -1 to hit. Nice. That means that with the File of the Abyss. Damn, I was thinking about the right one. You could have 2 units that are just -1 to hit at range, while you're going into everything and doing mortal wounds, and then we go to the fight phase 1, into which, well, not for the Purifier Squad, but you have 2 units that can also fight phase deal mortal wounds. So I think this is just a nice example of doubling your stratagems that I try to talk about being efficient, right? It's if you have 2 units that are harder to hit, 2 units that are dealing more mortal wounds, you're kind of getting away with some pretty nasty shenanigans. So Grandmaster Voltus, I'd like to see this more. Brotherhood Terminator Squad. Each time a model in this unit makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the lethal hits ability. We've talked about a lot of things that can lead the Brotherhood Terminator Squad. It has lethal hits. You are taking it. Add 1 to the objective control characteristic of models in the Bears unit with the Ancient's Banner. I think if you do want to take the 20-point enhancement somehow, some way, and have a lot more OC on points, just so you can start capturing things a little bit easier, it's not a terrible idea. Um, that in your command phase, you can return 1 destroyed model, excluding characters, to the Bears unit. This is good on a Terminator Squad. It's nice. They already have a 4-up info, so it's not like you're going to have another access to doubling down on the survivability, assuming this isn't the unit that you make stealth. But I'm the same way I looked at Flow of Magic. Now, don't get me wrong, Flow of Magic needs work, okay? I think that this is going to be. I think the game is looking at more Terminators, just overall. Between Death Guards, Flyblown Host, and the Death Shroud Terminators, the way that they wrote Flow of Magic, the way we're having so many transhuman stratagems, I think the answer to being both less durable and less killy is how about we make Terminators better for the meta? I think that's what the design direction could be pointing towards. So keep that in mind. I don't think that it was much debate on this one that you're bringing the Brotherhood Terminator Squad, but I've seen a lot of interesting conflicting takes on this detachment. So if you think that this isn't a Termy Squad detachment, I'd love to hear why. Strike Squad. Scout 6 is the big one. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and this unit is within range of your objective marker, it's sticky, right? Scout 6, sticky. This is probably keen to your game plan, right? It's battle line on top of that. So, put a bunch of shit out, OC2, to go start getting your hollowed ground. Or screening out, so that somebody else can't just easily lift hollow ground off of you. you are playing Grey Knights, so this is more points than other people would be paying for this amount of battle line, per se. But not only do they deep strike, they have Scout 6, and that's the big one, into which I think out of most things, you might be wanting to look at some decent amounts of battle line to make this one pop off, really. Nemesis Dread Knight. This model is eligible to shoot and declare charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. 205 points, T8, saving on 2s, 4 up invuln, 13 wounds. Advance, charge, or fall. Advance or fall back, shoot, charge, reroll hits. Ooh, I think it's nice, right? I think it's nice. I think it's nice. We already saw Dread Knights kind of beat everybody's ass for a portion. Well, it's like a month or two, if we're being honest. Like a month or two. This doesn't have the same support as Teleport, Strike Force, Task Force. Did I fuck? I fucked it. I fucked it. Strike Force. Fuck yeah. I'm still giving myself that. Teleport, Strike Force. It doesn't have the same support. However, this does start to open shit up. I think more than anything, it still has Deep Strike. Yeah, the rest is asking you for infantry, but a splash of one or two of these, given the points in the list, because this is looking like an expensive list, who knows? Because again, if we go all the way back to like the Razorback lets some Purifier squads flow out after you had your Strike squad go up. I don't know how many points you have, but you do need at least one or two units that can deliver the pain after you have gotten up there, and to just close shit out after you have all the mortal wounds. So Nemesis Dread Knight, Paladin Squad. Each time an attack targets this unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Like I said, we're seeing it. You might as well keep bringing it. Bring some Paladin Squads. Bring some Paladin Squads. Fair enough. Purgation Squad. In your shooting phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit have the indirect fire ability, provided the target of that weapon is visible to one or more other friendly Grey Knight Psyker units. Now, indirect fire on some shit like Sustained, while you're re-rolling, meaning that indirect fire now is like you can't hit on better than 4, right? Purgation Squad, kind of a fire prism type situation into which somebody else has to see it behind a wall, re-rolls. If you were Purgation Squad within your Purifier Squad, like this becomes Tau in a way. Uh, if you are having Purifier Squad out there, then they're spotting per se. Purgation Squad re-rolls for the indirect fire. That's nice. That's nice. But again, this is looking pretty expensive for Grey Knights, which they already do. So I think if you play into one way or another, you'll find that you might be satisfied for playing the game at hand. We'll just have to see how long or what meta develops before you start putting this detachment more on the table. But overall, I think it's pretty baller. So yeah. If you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.